Hello, everybody. It's me, High Pitch Eric. Sunday night. You know what that means? It's time for the Balls from Ellwood show. Balls, take it away.
Well, I thank you, Eric. I appreciate that introduction. I got a very special show for you tonight. I just want to let you know, one thing I like the most about doing a show here is I can actually have the chance to actually direct some focus to talent that I think people might not ordinarily get to see. And tonight I get to sit down with the band Klaymore. It's an up-and-coming metal band, and I hope you guys will enjoy it and give them a chance, and maybe pick up this CD on Bandcamp. And after that, I would just want to tell everybody, thank you. I've been getting letters and all kinds of, you fans have been the greatest motherfuckers in the world, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank this network for the opportunity.
Well, thanks, guys. And you want to give these guys a shout out on what they're gonna hear on tonight's episode?
Well, like I said, I'm actually going to sit down with the band Klaymore. We're going to get into some in-depth discussion. They're going to give us a little, groundwork of how the band became, how they came to be, and some of the process they do and how they write and how they come up with their stuff. And then at the end, you're actually going to get to hear a little bit of those dudes. So if you like what you see, seek them out. That's what I like. That's one of the main things I like about doing a show. And other than that, in the future, you're going to get to see me bitch about the normal things that piss me off in life. And hopefully I'm going to have some more guests come in, and we'll have some things, Stern related too. So I like to have a nice little variety, and I just thank you for everybody for tuning in, because if it wasn't for you guys, I'd be sitting here jerking my dick off.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Balls, for doing the show. Thanks for being on our network, and Eric, thanks for doing that for him.
Oh, I love you, Balls.
Throw the horns up for Klaymore.
All right, here we go,
Sell
guys.
your soul to the devil.
No further ado, here's the Balls Show.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
Okay, Balls, what's on your mind?
All right, cats, thanks for joining me again this week. I actually am looking forward to this week's show. I have some very special guests in here actually hanging out with me. They're from the metal band Klaymore. I'm sitting here with Lee Prisby, and I'm sitting here with Dan Sudano. And I'm actually going to ask them some serious questions here. And maybe the thing I like the most about having a show is I have the power to focus and actually get people to take some interest in bands that I think really deserve the attention and might not get the attention that I think they deserve. And I definitely think these guys, they work their ass off, and they definitely need that attention. So I'm hoping you guys will, hear this, and hopefully at the end here we can give you all the places where you can find them. And I'd love if you guys go and check them out, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. So, that being said, I'm just gonna get right into it here. So, I wanted to know, like, how'd the band come to fruition?
So, the name Klaymore, I've been using it for about the last 10 years now, because it just started whenever I was in a band in high school. Um, but then whenever we all went off to college, like, we stopped it, and figured it was over, but then a couple years later, I was like, no, I still want to do this, and we had written an album worth of material whenever I was in high school, so I was like, if I'm gonna start, a band, like, it might as well be something that already exists, so I'm not just, like, trying to find people, and I don't have, like, music to show them, to, like, convince them, like, that this is a good idea, or, like, what I'm trying to do and stuff. So I just sort of picked the name back up and continued using it with new people. But yeah, it's probably been about the last 5 years or so of actually, like, taking it seriously, trying to have a web presence and, you know, play shows in Pittsburgh and other places. But yeah, so I guess technically just, you know, a high school band that got out of control.
Now, how did you come up with the name? What is the name from?
If you ask somebody that was born after the Vietnam War, it is a Scottish broadsword. And if you ask someone that was born before the Vietnam War, it's a landmine. But we picked it because of the broadsword, because, I don't know, it was right when we were discovering power metal and stuff like that, and, you know, the knights in armor music kind of things, and that was what really got us into the metal side of things, because we didn't start out, like, as a metal band. It was just like, okay, we're gonna play some covers of, like, bands that we all like, and at the time it was like Wolf Mother, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and stuff like that, and Led Zeppelin, but I already said Wolf Mother, so but yeah, and then I think I was in, like, 10th grade or something like that, and I found the album Walls of Jericho by Halloween, and, like, as soon as I listened to it, just, like, the back of my head just, like, blew right the fuck off. Like, I had never heard anything like it before at, you know, age 15 or 16 or however old I was, with most of the people around just listen to, like, classic rock and stuff like that. Or it was stuff, like, completely unintelligible to me at the time, like Burn the Priest, like, not even Lamb of God, but, like, the grindcore band they were in before that, like, and I was like, this is nonsense, and, like, couldn't get into that, and I was, like, sort of, like, getting tired of the older stuff, and then that's whenever I found Halloween, and I was like, this is awesome, like, it's really fast and melodic, and that's when I found a bunch of other bands that sounded like that, and then we just sort of shifted into playing metal after that. It was a gradual thing. No, we didn't, like, sit down and we were like, let's make a metal band.
That's actually that's great, because I actually wanted to get into. I was going to ask you what your musical influences was, but now that you said Halloween, and that was a big part of your band forming, can you tell me how has your musical influences changed from say when you were younger as to now? You and Dan, how is that? How's it changed?
Recently, we've just been trying to find, like, bands that other people have sort of always been talking about like, in high school it would have been, like, underground metal, but now that, you know, Facebook is way more popular, and it's not weird to find somebody that knows who Halloween is. Like, at this point, that's, like, an entry level power metal band. So, like, it's not as obscure, you know. We'll go to shows and people will talk to us about Halloween or something like that. But so for influences, like, changing, definitely, I, like, now actually have the capability to, like, listen to some bands with harsh vocals and things like that. So for me personally, it's been just finding more out there power metal bands, but also trying to find the ones I had looked over before, and then also branching out into some more extreme metal stuff.
Yeah, actually, when I had joined the band, my main influences were mostly thrash metal and death metal and stuff like that. I didn't actually get into the power metal stuff until after I had joined the band and been in for a couple years, and then I started listening to that stuff, and yeah, the back of my fucking head blew off too. It was great. It was a great time. So it's like we're kind of trying to move in a direction and evolve and add stuff to our music that we would want to hear, and it's been a great time. It's you know, it's just like the forward progression of the whole thing. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that should be mentioned is it's like, yeah, we're trying to like listen to these bands that we already liked, but we never played things like that necessarily. Like we didn't branch out in that direction. So now we're just like trying to pull the things that we like and actually play them and not, correctly and well. But just try to go to things that we've always liked or that we're just discovering and actually try to implement those things to try to push things into a new direction.
Great answer, guys. I actually wanted to ask you also, heavy metal has always been a type of music that kind of stereotypically gets a lot of shit. Why do you think that? And like, do you get along with your parents, and do they support your love of heavy metal music and making metal?
Well, one of the reasons why we're trying to branch out is because we kind of just got tired of people calling our music dad metal. Because nowadays, the older, it's like if you have like a harmonized guitar and clean vocals, they're like, this is dad metal, like this is old, like, you know, and it doesn't land as well sometimes, like with people our age and stuff. But so I think that we've definitely moved past a lot of that at least in the vein of metal that we're in, my parents don't listen to that kind of stuff, but not because it's, you know, satanic or something, like not like the 80s like burn the records kind of not like it, but no, my dad's a musician, and my mom's always been real supportive of doing this stuff, and up until like 2 days ago I was like I don't know if she like really gets what I'm doing and is like actually like, you know, happy hearing like the progressions of like bigger things that I'm doing and stuff, or if she's just like, oh wow, I can't believe he's doing that, but I gotta like, you know, pat him on the back for it. And then 2 days ago I was like, oh yeah, we have an interview with like he's like a personality on the Howard Stern show, and she was like, oh, that's really cool. And I was like, I
don't usually get that a lot.
Yeah,
so thank you, Mom.
I was like, okay, Mom. I was like, now I'm like even more not sure. Like, you're just like, oh, it's really cool that you do that. And she's just like, what the fuck is going on? Or like, what? But yeah, no, my parents have always been real supportive of it, even though they don't listen to this kind of music. But, yeah.
Yeah, my parents as well have also been very supportive, and it's like, they're always asking me, oh, when's your next show? And then they don't come to it. Aw. But no, it's been you know, they've been real supportive of it. I know that metal usually gets a bad rap, like from older folks. They're like, that's the devil's music, but that's really not it. I think in recent years that's been you know, less and less of a problem. So it's like we're trying to, yeah. We're just trying to do our thing, and hopefully people like it. But we, you know, so
yeah, that's kind of always been the mentality about it too. Is we didn't like when you're asking like, oh, like how did these things start to happen? It was like, I don't know. Like we weren't trying to do anything specific. We're just like, this is the kind of stuff that we like. I guess we'll do this. Oh, some people are listening to it. Cool. We're gonna keep doing the things that we like. I hope they continue to like it. Like as we're, you know, we're not trying to pander to anything, because there is a big scene that people pander to now with like the old school metal aesthetic and like the true metal, like the Manowar kind of like vibe and mentality and things about the music. But like, so, you know, we fit in with some of those people and we don't fit in with some of those people. But yeah, it's really just the whole time, it's really just been doing whatever we feel like doing. I feel like that's kind of what metal is. It's just going and doing whatever you want.
That's great, man. Like, I totally get it. I understand, because I'm also very passionate about music myself. But I wanted to ask you guys, like, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but what is it about heavy metal that connects with you guys over any other genre of music? Can you explain that to me?
I've never really, like, you know, thought of myself like specific, like again, like getting into this stuff, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm a metalhead, or like, you know, trying to purposely dress like other people that I assume do, like that listen to this kind of music and stuff. I really think, just like I said, when I discovered Halloween, it was just like really fast. I was like, this is cool, and it was really melodic. I was like, this is cool, and so I was like, all right, those are like the two things that I like about it, and it's catchy. Like power metal is very catchy. Like they have these big choruses and things like that. But I mean, yeah, like I listen to other bands that I realize like they just sort of have those same aspects. Like even like one of my favorite bands is The Offspring, and it's like some of it's that same stuff. It's just really fast drums, and they have these big catchy choruses, and that's a lot of power metal stuff. And so I think that I could connect with a lot of genres of music, you know, provided that you find the right things in there that you like. Like I've recently discovered I really enjoy flamenco guitar music because it's really yeah right yeah yeah we watched some guy do a cover of Judas Priest's Painkiller on flamenco guitar, and he was doing all the percussion stuff, like just hitting the guitar and things, and we were like, it's cool, like it's really technical, it's really melodic. Those are the kinds of things that I like in metal sometimes. So I can also see myself like gravitating towards other genres that also have these characteristics.
Yeah, for me, it was like when I was growing up, it was like music was just whatever, and you know, I wasn't too into it. And then by the time I got into middle school, somebody had told me about Slayer of all bands, which actually pulled me into it. So it's like the first time I listened to it, I was like, oh, holy shit, this is just for me. And from there, I just got into more and more stuff. I started playing guitar, and once I started playing guitar, it was like anything that was technical, anything that I could pull from as an influence, it was like I was right there just trying to suck up all the information I could and enjoy the music while I was doing it.
I also think it's kind of funny that I don't really view our music as technical, and I don't view it as really, really fast, which is like the kind of stuff that we're both describing that we like. But it seems that everyone else who listens to it does view it that way. So like other people will be describing us to their friends and stuff. They're like, "Oh, these guys shred," and we're like, "I don't think we do." Like, we're doing our best, but like, calm down. We're not gonna be able to deliver in 10 minutes when we're on stage. Like, if you're expecting us to like go Malmsteen up there, like that's not gonna happen. But because I don't know, to me, it's always been more about like the song overall and things like that, but I don't know, that doesn't necessarily carry over all the time into the stuff that I listen to.
Excellent. I actually like to talk a few minutes with you guys about your gigs and how you prepare for them, like the best one that you think you've ever played, and have you guys ever been approached by any groupies yet?
No to that last part.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I would figure a couple good-looking dudes like you that's in a band and playing the guitar would be raking in the pussy.
Oh, we get approached by good-looking dudes all the time. That's not a problem.
I mean, have you sold your soul to the devil yet? I think that's step number one.
Satan is the devil.
First
of all.
I tried to, but it was like a really bad economy, and he was like, "I'm going to lose on this investment. Like when the market bounces back, I'm going to be sitting here with this soul, and I'll be like, I should have fucking invested in Litecoin. Like, why did I take these kids' souls? This was stupid." But the best shows that we've done, or preparing for shows, I don't know. There's not like some, you know, ritual that happens before, like, you know, we're like drawing a pentagram on the ground or something to maybe we should, like, I don't know, maybe then we'd live up to the shred aspect that other people think is gonna happen with us. But no, I don't know, a lot of times it's just hanging out with our friends, playing music at 3,000 miles an hour. Like that's all that we're, you know, thinking about with it. I can't think of like a specific best show. I can think of a ton of worst shows, which like I'm not gonna talk about because like why would I don't want to promote that part, like the few and far between off days that, you know, inevitably happen when you're trying to get 4 or 5 people on the same page with each other at exactly the same time. But
my favorite shows that we've played it's like stuff that's like out of state or out of the city of Pittsburgh, because it's like, you know, a lot of it's travel time, and by the time we get there, we're like ready to destroy some shit because of travel time. And we just get up there and we destroy some shit, have a great time, and those are my favorite. I don't know how we actually sounded, because
that's not the important part. Yeah,
Jesus Christ, like what a fucking day. But you know, those are the ones I live for.
Yeah, I guess actually the one show that we played in Columbus, like it wasn't a giant show. It was just a show in a bar, And I went to school in Columbus, and so I was like, oh, cool. Like, invite a bunch of my friends that I like went to school. None of them showed up, so like that wasn't cool. And like one of them did, and I was like, this is great. And but you know, we're out of state. We're playing to like not probably like between 30 and 50 people. Like it's not a packed room, but like I had a great time doing it, and all the people that were there were really into it. But yeah, like those are the ones that I like, is even if we're playing to like 6 people that are the most excited 6 people like that we've ever played to, like that's so much more fun than watching like a crowded room of like blank stares coming back at you. That's my take on it.
That's got to be making it worthwhile, man. Like all your hard work to just see people out there digging what you're doing. And but I have a question also. Like, when the time comes to write new material, like how do you take an approach to that? Like, how is that even? How do you even begin that process?
We don't.
It's sort of all accidental, honestly. Like that is how probably the first 4 Klaymore CDs happened, was that you'll just be at work or at the time in school or something, and you're humming to yourself or whatever. I don't know. I don't think other people do that, but that's what I do. Or just you'll be in the shower like just humming along with whatever's in your head, and whatever sticks. Later, whenever I'd pick up a guitar, I was like, oh yeah, let me try to like play that thing I was thinking about before. And that is most of how it happens. But we're trying to get out of that because that's not really a time effective way to do things. Because if you don't have an idea for, I don't know, 4 years, let's just pick that number out of the blue for no reason. So if you haven't put anything out in like 4 years, yeah, it's really not an effective way to do things, of just being like, I hope I come up with an album of metal in my head in a couple minutes here, because we gotta do something. So we've been trying to make sure that we like take time out in the week, and me and Dan get together and kick around ideas that we've either had before, or we just sit there and we're like, what kind of song do we want to write? Like, is this going to be like something super melodic, or are we going to try to like put blast beats in it, or like what are we singing about, and stuff like that.
Well, that leads me into my next question. Whenever you're doing that, I mean, where do you pull inspiration from lyrically? Like, whenever it's time to come and do some lyrics over top of, it seems like you like have your music down, but like, how hard is it to come up with the lyrics to match over top of that? Like, where do you get that from? Do you pull that from inside, or is it by things you see in the media, or?
I'm the one that writes all the words, and I mean, for all 4 of the Klaymore CDs that we've had out, I've been the only one that's written lyrics for it, and yeah, I don't know, it can go either way. Like, there have been some songs that I have just written the words for first, like with no music, and then I'm like, what do I think this song should sound like? So it's kind of like a weird process of being like, okay, here's what it's about, here's how I'm going to sing it, like here's like what I think the emphasis of like the message of this song is, and it's like, what do I think that song would sound like, and try to write around it. But a lot of the times also, I mean, we will just write a song completely instrumentally and be like, okay, what now? Like, it needs words over top, and try to figure it out. But a lot of the songs that I've written, I mean, sometimes like it starts with the chorus of it, so it really sort of ends up nailing down a lot of that as it is, because like I'm saying, you'll be like just somewhere with like just noise happening, like I said, like in the shower or driving, or I wrote a song while I was mowing the lawn because it still has like just that drone in the background that really like clears your mind of anything else, and you can sort of concentrate on things. But so a lot of times I've written the chorus to a song first, and then based on that, like the vocal melody, I'm like, let's find out what chords would go underneath that, and I play it on guitar. I'm like, okay, cool, so that nails down like where I can go with this song after that, because only certain chords can follow certain ones, to like stay in the same key and things like that. So it's really all over the place. It's like, I guess the short version of it. It just really depends on what I've been thinking about recently, or what kind of like free time I've had. Like if I'm really busy, I'm not zoning out, like, thinking about other stuff, which is, sometimes when I get these ideas. But yeah.
Alrighty, I got another question for you guys. If I was a young dude that was just getting into heavy metal, where would you guide me? Like, what recommendations would you have? Where would I start to get into it like you guys, to embrace the music like you do?
As like a jumping point of like having never heard metal, and you're like looking for something that would be like well-rounded enough that you're like, this is good music, but it shouldn't like scare anybody off.
Yeah.
I would probably I'd probably say Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest, like that album, because it's like, it's not the like 7-minute long or 10-minute long, musical voyages. There's nobody's screaming in it, like I can't understand the lyrics, like, because that turned me off, like when I was first getting into things, like I said, with bands like Lamb of God and stuff, where I was like, I don't want to listen to harsh vocals. They're Children of Bodom and stuff. Like, there's, if I knew the person's interest more specifically, you could pick something, but just to like throw that at the wall and be like, this will probably stick, that's what I would pick.
I really don't have a comment on this, because I jumped in like head first with the stuff. I was like way over the top with it, so I couldn't even relate to somebody. But I'd agree with Lee, and I'd go with something a little bit more, like Judas Priest is a good. They get radio play. Iron Maiden's another good one. I would give to people to start with metal. So.
Alrighty, guys. I'm actually a fan of your stuff online. I've seen you do a lot of really incredible video game covers, and I just wanted to, take a minute and have you guys tell me how that started, and where can my audience you find these to check them out, because I really think they're something cool to check out for sure.
That started out 5 years ago, I think, at this point. We were like casually trying to get into that kind of stuff, because we'd seen other people like do metal versions of video game music, and we were like, oh, that's cool. Let's do the same thing as everyone else. It was just like something fun to do. They were like, I don't know, some people will probably listen to it, like if they like us and like that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't. So that's how it started, and it all began with, we put out this really awful cover of Bubble Man from Mega Man 2. And I had to listen to it the other day because I had to relearn how to play it on guitar for some stuff that we're doing in the future. And I was like, wow, God bless all 3,000 people that listen to this song that did not immediately rip off our heads and shit down our necks for and that's the thing. It all has to start from somewhere. It's been an absolute journey, like figuring out how to do that kind of thing. And I think that we've made a lot of awesome progress on it. So like I'm really proud of the stuff that we've been doing in the last year. That's when we started to get a lot more serious about it, and really think about our arrangements with it, and either overdoing things at the right time, and making sure not to overdo things at the wrong time, because that's most of what the old ones were, where we just didn't have a real grasp on when to go full throttle and like when to reel it back. But we have another YouTube channel other than Klaymore, and it's called Halberd, which is named after a thing from the Kirby series, but everyone else is just like, oh, it's just a different medieval weapon. Like, that makes sense. Like, yep, that's what, yeah, totally. I thought of that too, yeah. But so it's called Halberd, or Halberd Gamers is like how you can find it as one word. But that's where we've been for the last year. every month we've put out a cover of a video game song, and it's either been something old school like, Mega Man 2, like the Bubble Man things, like where we started, or recently we did a cover of a song off of Super Mario Odyssey, because that was, just came out a couple months ago, so we were like, maybe we should stop being dads and do something that's actually current and happening right now. But yeah, so I mean, it's really the backstory on that. I don't know if Dan, if you have anything to add from being a part of it for the last year when we were actually taking it seriously. Or...
I'd say we've been taking it more seriously more recently. Just putting more time into the stuff and trying to get ahead on it, and like he said, it's like we actually have a grasp now on how to do it. So we apologize for some of the earlier works, but I think we're getting better with it. It's a good time, and we like to see people's reactions to it. We like that people like what we like, I guess. So we're gonna keep doing it as long as it keeps getting good reactions. We'll put out more stuff like that, and it's a blast to do it. And yeah, that's about all I got on that.
I got a couple more questions for you here, but I've always been curious. It always fascinates me talking to you guys or talking to any band. What is the best part about being in a band, and what is some of the worst parts? Because everybody has that, that feeling that like it would just be great all the time, and but there has to be some bad too. So I'd be curious if you could touch on both of those for me.
There's, for like the good and the bad parts, there's generally like 20 minutes of good for every like 15 hours of bad.
That's quite a ratio.
Right, which sounds like it makes no sense, but I mean there are also people who like pump out kids and raise them for 18 years, and it's got to be close to the same ratio of 20 minutes good to 15 hours of bad. I can't imagine it being a better ratio than that. In a world where we have to have someone like split their grundle open to like pass a child into this world, and then most of them are like, I'm gonna do it again and again and again. I don't think it's too crazy for us to be like doing something not physically painful that a lot of the time it's a lot of hard work.
It's called Stockholm Syndrome, and we got it.
Yeah, exactly, because there's some really cool bands from Stockholm. And
Sweden's great.
Yeah, you ever listen to Ghost?
Yeah.
But yeah, like the best parts are, whenever you have the product completed and you put it out there and people actually enjoy, all of the hard work and can appreciate all of the hard work that you put into it, and things like that. But you're not putting out a song every single day. It's a lot of it is just trudging along and being like, this sucks. We gotta like keep putting in all of this work, but at the end of the day, well, not literally every day, it ends up being worth it because you can put something out that like you're proud of and that you personally enjoy, and then it's just a good feeling whenever other people also enjoy it, or are waiting for you to put something out or do something else.
4 years.
If we had to pick like an arbitrary number, like 4 years.
Yeah, that's the number, and it's doing the work on these, it's like it definitely is a lot of hard work, but it's like, I don't know, we have fun while we're doing it still, because it's I feel like a lot of times we just kind of drag it out because we're just having a bad time, but it turns into a good time, and we'll look back on it later and be like, boy, that was a hoot. So it's like we spend a lot of time doing it, and yeah, at the end of the day, it's like I just like to hear this stuff. It's once the product's done, I'll just sit there and listen to it over and over and over again, just to reassure myself that we actually did it correctly. And I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm like, cool riff, let's listen to it until we hate it, and then doubt ourselves, and then move on to something else and try to come up with another idea. But a lot of it is, it's the people that you work with. Because like Dan was saying, a lot of stuff that we do, we're there and we're like, this sucks. Like, I know, like, we have to do this aspect of it, but like, I don't really feel like it. But you're all in the same boat. And like, you all know that none of you are excited to like do some tedious work or like, you know, sit still for like promo pictures for 2 hours and try to concentrate and stuff like that. But like, you know, if you have people that all have the same mentality of like, we're all aware that this in itself is not fun, we're just trying to enjoy ourselves as we work on this, then it can be a lot of fun. But yeah.
I also have a question. Whenever you are, you know, part of a band and you know you're playing around locally all the time and other places, how do other people react to you, like other bands? I mean, has there been bands that are real fucking fuckfaces to you, or how do they get along with you? Are they jealous? Are they supportive? Who's the biggest asshole in the music industry right now?
We're not gonna name any specific names.
Oh, I'll name a specific based on recent interview. Quincy Jones. If Quincy Jones is listening to it, yeah, right. I mean,
I heard about that.
No, he was doing the Lord's work there. That was great. I loved that interview of him just like he's so powerful that they were like, "What do you think about this?" And he was like, "I don't fucking care." Like it was awesome. That was the greatest thing. But as for when we go other places, I mean, Dan, you can correct me if you don't feel this way about it. But when we go other places, everybody loves it. Like, we are very well received, and again, it's not because we're not well received in Pittsburgh, but I think it's because the other people, when we're in Cincinnati or, you know, Philadelphia or wherever, because they don't see us all the time, and we have, like, come from somewhere else, and they, like, understand that we're, at the very least, we had to sit for 5 or 6 hours to even get there. And they've been having it hyped to them for the last 5 or 6 weeks or whatever that, you know, whoever the promoter is like, this band fucks and we're bringing them and you better be there. And so the people that are there are like, this band fucks. Like, I'm ready to see this, you know. So we are, you know, those are always our best nights for, you know, selling CDs and T-shirts and not looking at a sea of blank faces and stuff like that. There's been very few times on the road that have been like, well, that was not worth our time to do. But then here, it's definitely a very tight-knit community, but it can be very supportive if you can break into it. I've met a lot of cool people, and they want to do a lot of cool stuff for us. And like, there's an online metal radio stream that just started up like a couple months ago, I think, at this point, but they're called The Metal Edge, and they do a bunch of stuff with only Pittsburgh metal bands. So they're always trying to help, you know, cross promote everyone and get their name on like more events and like help support other things going on in the scene. And so, you know, by them doing that, it helps everyone else that they're working with. You know, by proxy, because you're associated with it and your music's on their stream and things like that. But yeah, so it can be difficult to break into, but it is definitely well received once you are actually in it. And I was talking to somebody, and because I've met some bands that I'm like, those people were kind of dicks, or like they were like sort of standoffish or like whatever, because, you know, like one person from the band will like come over and talk to us and we're like, that guy was cool, fuck the other 3 people that didn't do that. But then one of my friends, he's a promoter in North Carolina, and he was like, well, you got to think about it this way, you didn't go up and talk to them, so like maybe they thought you were a dick, and then we're like, I'm not talking to that guy. Like, he didn't come talk to us. He's like, so you know what? Like, that could be part of it. Like, and so that's something that I've, like, tried to keep in mind recently, is that it's like, if there is a band that I'm like, oh, they're cool, we should, like, interact with them, actually go and interact with them. Like, you can't wait. And I think that that is, like, reasonable advice for people that would be trying to break into it. Like, don't wait to get noticed. Because if you go and try to talk to somebody and you're annoying them and they think that you're annoying, it doesn't fucking matter, because they were already not gonna like you as it was. Because if they didn't like go out of their way to already like come up and try to be friendly to you, like you probably didn't damage anything by going up and talking to them, because there was no existing relationship in that point. You didn't make things worse, even if you maybe feel like you did by annoying them.
that's the. I mean, there was this one time, this guy.
No, I already know the time.
Well, first of all, we played the set, and then these guys, they were nowhere in the room. And the guy's like, "Good set, guys." And it's like, "Yeah, okay." But they came on after us, and the one guy comes up to me and he's like, "I'm trying to put my stuff away," and he just goes, "We're trying to make this like a quick thing, so can you like hurry up?" And it's like, dude, I am trying my best to get out of your way. Like, that actually really annoyed me. So don't say anything rude, but just make an effort to be amicable. Just talk to people. Be generally friendly.
Like we obviously are, but yeah, okay. So you can annoy people if
annoyed.
if you're rude to them. But going up and saying hi, and if you were like actually there watching their set and you were like, that was cool, and then like name something specific that you liked about it, because otherwise it's like whenever our parents made us line up after the soccer game and high five the like opposing team and everyone's like, good game, good game, good game, good game. That's all it is. And that is annoying.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than insincere sincerity at its finest. But I have another question here. We're going to wrap this up pretty shortly here, but this one actually has to do with the technology of music. The music industry has changed so much, even in the past decade. In you guys' opinion, do you feel technology has become a detriment or an asset to the music industry and how you guys put things out?
It can be both. I mean, it depends on how you use it, and I think a lack of today's technology 30 or 40 years ago was the same way, that it either it could have helped and hurt, because I'm sure we've all heard a bunch of albums from the 70s or 80s that sound like shit and sound like they were recorded in a shoebox, and it's like, wow, I really wish that they would have had better technology to make this better. Or it's like, if their drummer sucked but it was a really cool song, it's like, I'd rather have a fake drum kit and a cool song to listen to that doesn't sound like shit. So I think it's a positive thing. It depends on, you can overdo or underdo anything. It doesn't matter. If it's a good song, it's a good song. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that aspect hasn't changed. But yeah, people nowadays definitely either purposely try to underdo it because they're like, this is old school. Like, we're going to record it to tape and we're all going to be in the same room playing it. I've never heard it be okay.
It's really true, though.
But then I've also heard other people that are like, it's just me, there's no one else, and I'm gonna do it all in my bedroom with like all this advanced like amp sims and drum kits and things. But like, if they don't know what they're doing, like, it still turns out bad. So it really depends on the people that are doing it. I think the technology can help and hurt. It doesn't matter what it is, it depends on the execution of it.
I think for us, it's definitely been an asset, just because of how much better we sound now. And it's like, if you're going to be putting stuff out there to be saved forever, why not have the best version of it? So it's like, live, it's like, it's a totally different animal. It's like, you get up there, everybody's there, you play the song, and it usually turns out fine. But it's like, with that stuff, it's like, you're going to want something to show somebody that you can be proud of. And I wouldn't like to turn in something that's subpar because we didn't have the tools to do it. It's like, we do what we can with what we have, and hope for the best with it.
Yeah, again, like we can do all the stuff, and we do play live, but I wouldn't want that to be our album release of just like a couple, the amount of mics we have live on our instruments recording it, and like that's saved forever. And like, if there's just like some weird feedback noise accidentally at one point, like it's just like, that's permanent. It's like, it's not like you're a bad musician because you accidentally like forgot to mute your guitar real quick at a certain part, but like, it sure will make you sound bad for eternity if you don't go back and redo it, or trim the track in Pro Tools or whatever that you couldn't do on tape. You'd have to actually like decide if you really wanted to sit there with a razor blade and like cut that little chunk of tape out of there. But yeah.
All right, guys. Now I think I've kept this pretty safe this whole time. But before we close up here, I do have a couple of interesting questions I'd like to ask you guys. I would like to ask both of you to describe to me the craziest porno you've ever seen.
Okay, so if you guys can find this on your own. I'm not gonna tell you what to search. You'll be able to find it. So there's this chick like upside down, like leaning up. But I don't know if she's leaning up against the couch. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw it. But there's several guys standing around her, and the one man is trying to. Well, it's called a dog in a bathtub, and he's trying to put his testicles inside of this young woman's anus, and he succeeds. It sure was. There was a whole group of people there too watching it. But it was the funniest thing I've ever fucking seen. Potentially out of anything ever, any sort of comedy. It was just these dudes standing around, and after the guy like squishes himself in there, some dude in the background's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna try this at home," and it's like. You sure fucking aren't, man. Like, there's no way that is ever going to happen outside of this room. But yeah, that's my answer. They're all just standing around yelling, "Freak that bitch out, Tone!" And then he like he's got his like balls in her ass, and then they're like, try to put your dick in the pussy, and he does, and then they're just like standing there, and it like happens, but they're all just like describing it like to each other, but like they're all there looking at it. Like, you don't need to describe it to each other. Like, you can all see it. The camera's on it. Like, we all know what's happening. Yeah, and that took me 0 seconds to think of, because I don't think I've ever seen
that's a very
anything
solid
better.
answer. Do you think you can you can beat that spectator sport that he just described?
I cannot top that, personally. You know, I've seen all sorts. I'm kind of desensitized to it at this point, but it did remind me of a story that one time, me and my friends were in high school, and we had got some beer somehow. You didn't hear that from me. Anyway, we're walking along the road, of all places, and we found a DVD that apparently somebody had thrown out the window, and we picked it up, and it was, in fact, a porno. So we took it back to my friend's house. We were drinking beer. We're like, let's watch this thing. So we put it in, and it was kind of what you were describing. I remember one of the lines was, "Put your balls in there too." So we were all mortified. We were like, "This is the worst porno we've ever seen." We were like, "We have the internet. Like, we don't need this. This is garbage." So that's what your story reminded me of. So let's hear another crazy question.
Well, actually, before we do that, I'll share mine with you, man. Right. Like, I've been dying to tell somebody this for years, because, like, I still don't believe it. I've seen it. Like, my buddy Zane used to always tell me about these crazy tapes he'd have, and finally I actually procured one day, and he used to tell me the story of, there was a mad scientist lab, and this beautiful lady is actually pleasuring herself in this mad scientist lab. There's all kind of beakers and things and whatnot, and there's I guess you would call it like a anatomy book, so she finds this anatomy book, and it's all creepy, man. It's not like you open it and there's like pictures of dudes in it. It's like the breakdowns of like wieners and stuff, and like, so she's looking at it. Yeah, the cross section of a cock and shit like that. So she gets her all hot and bothered, so she starts fingering herself. Of course, because that's what I'd do if I found a rogue anatomy book in a laboratory. I mean, so she's getting all hot and bothered. And here comes the best part. The scientist comes in, and he looks like the mad scientist, man, with the white hair flicked out, a big mustache, the glasses, and he comes in, he has almost like a pirate's accent, which I don't know why a mad scientist would have, but, why not? So he comes in, he sees her, and she's like, "Ooh," and she's all like embarrassed, and he's like, and this is what he says to this day, and I piss myself every time I think about it. And he goes, "Ah, you like looking at the male anatomy, do you, little bitch?" And he goes, "Let's see how you cater to the feel of it." And then he starts fucking the living shit out of her, dude. Every single which way but fucking Sunday. And I can't stand. Every time I hear it, I almost piss my pants. And that's mine. But, I mean, in closing, I think it's been very well. But what I would like to touch upon before we do go, in fact, is I want you guys to tell us the plans for the future. what's coming up and where we can actually find, my audience can find your music to check out, so they can come and check you guys out. Any places where you're playing and where they can actually find your music to listen to you. So before we wrap things up, I'd like you guys to touch on that, and then we'll be done here.
Okay, so most important part is that Klaymore is spelled with a K, not a C. So that'll start in directing you to the right spot. But we're, most social media places. We're on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Klaymore Metal. Twitter is @Klaymore Metal. And then we have a Bandcamp page, and that is where you can find all of our official studio releases, and that is claymore.bandcamp.com. And that is where we had put out our newest CD is on there. It's Alive. And then on youtube.com/Klaymore, that's where we put music videos, that's where we put cover songs, and that's where we have our latest music video. From the It's Alive CD, we did a video for the song Matriarch from that CD. But yeah, so most extensive place, I guess, would be YouTube, where you can keep up with updates from us and other, odd rantings and things like that. That'd be Facebook. And then to actually download and purchase the music or T-shirts and things like that, that would be claymore.bandcamp.com. I think that covered all the bases. And for the metal video game covers, it's searching Halberd Gamers on YouTube. That will, or I'm sure you can probably just search like Klaymore video game cover. The videos are related enough that it might come up anyway. But yeah, that is where we put the video game related material is on Halberd Gamers. But yeah, I think that covers all the places that we exist out there. All right, cool.
Well, there you have it, folks. I just want to thank these guys for coming in and spending some time with me and talking to you guys. And be sure to go and check all that out. Make sure you buy tons and tons of stuff off them too. That would really that would be great. Balls would love that. So that's what you need to do, you brainless automatons. Make sure you buy their shit. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you. Actually, I'm kidding. I love you all. Alrighty, cats, we're back, and it's time for everybody's favorite segment on the Balls from Ellwood show. XTinas Depravity Corner, you know her, you love her. Let's hear the fucked up shit this week, and this week we actually have a special guest with us here. Sitting here is the band Klaymore, and they're actually going to give us their 2 cents too, so take it away, XTina.
Hey there. So, been reading the news, of course, and there's always super fucked up shit in the news these days, and everybody's shooting everybody, and it's just nuts. But one interesting thing I saw recently is a knife-wielding dude in Japan running into this hospital, disability care center, and apparently he killed 19 disabled people in this disability care center that he once worked at. In fact, he might have still worked there. I'm not quite sure, but I think they fired him because they said that they had hospitalized him because he had made threats to kill disabled people at some point. So I guess when you're working in a disabled home and you threaten to kill disabled people, they might fire you. I don't know. Just a thought. But regardless, somehow they let this wacko out, and he still decided that this was his life's goal, to kill these disabled people. But it's an interesting twist, and I think it sparks a lot of debate, really. So his thought was, these people, they're suffering, and they're basically just human, I don't even know what you call them. They're just like living vegetables, essentially. And he felt that it was his place to play God, and get them out of the world. And, make more, I don't know, not so much to make more room, maybe to spare them from what they're doing, and I don't know. But it's kind of like, it sort of reminds me of Dr. Kevorkian, and because the guy was quoted stating that humans should be permitted to be euthanized. And, that takes you back to the days of Jack Kevorkian, and that's kind of what he did. And it's funny because you think about it, and everybody's like, oh, my dog is so sick, my cat is so sick. I've got to go put them out of their misery. They have cancer and it's spread all throughout. We're going to go put them down. And because you don't want them to suffer. So it is interesting. I mean, obviously we're humans and we have a little more compassion for humans, and there's a lot more far advanced medical care perhaps and whatnot. But, you of course don't put your human down because of cancer. You try to make it better and fix it, where in an animal it's a little more costly and of course it's kind of silly. But I don't know. I mean, there are points in time where I do think that, I mean, there's people that, ultimately have to pull a plug and this and that, but that's pretty obvious when that happens. But there's, times when people are just kind of like, I mean, let's just take me, for example. If I'm in a hospital bed and I'm just like, please, I don't want to be like that. Like, what's the what's the value of life with that? For real, man, put me out. So, I don't know, it opened an interesting debate. Now, this dude went about it the wrong way. I mean, I guess he had a list. He only hit 19. His goal was 260, I think. And he went to run through 2 different facilities and stab them all to death. And, that's a little extreme, buddy. Perhaps you need a euthanization tool or something. But I don't know, man. I mean, why don't you guys weigh in on this and tell me your thoughts?
All right, I'll go first. Here's the thing. The only thing that from the story I think is interesting is the guy's playing God, obviously. It is definitely it's a tough situation. But here's the thing. I mean, to be trapped in your body and have no function, that's really fucked up. But the fucked up part about it is to somebody, it's their quality of life to them might be, worthy that they want to still live it. And he could be running around going, who says whether you live or die? Like, what's his rules? That's what I'd be curious to know. Like, in his world, like, if a bitch can't fucking lift a cup of coffee up to her face to drink it, she's getting stabbed. Or like, what is the rules? That's what I'd like to know. But it's very interesting thing. Not only that, I feel sorry for these people, but like, why focus on them? I would focus on the assholes that take 2 parking places at the grocery store, or maybe perhaps people of that nature rather than your home, your care home people. I mean, just because I shit my pants, you want to stab me? I mean, I go to the bar and I shit my pants. Nobody's ever wanted to stab me before, so I mean, I don't know. Dan, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I really don't think he should have done that. I think it was bad. You can't just go around stabbing people. I agree with what you said. Focus on the people who double park or whatever. They suck. Nobody likes that. I've screamed at tons of people out on the road, and yeah. But I mean, to go in there with a knife, that's insane. It's like, what got into this guy's head to make him think that you can just like, just why? Why not just live your life and let these people be? They're not hurting anyone. That's really all I got to say about it. How about you, Lee?
That is me. Yeah, I mean, if the guy really thinks that, these people are like suffering, then he needs to do something about it. Like, there's other things than I'm not reinventing the wheel here with this answer, like, but because it should seem obvious, but like, somebody really did go and do this. But like, in hospitals and places, we have it with like terminal people, and we're like, we're gonna make them as comfortable as possible. We're not like, we're going to like assassinate them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else there is to say about that. I think that everyone hearing that story could agree that you should not. Yeah, like I don't think. I think we'd be harder pressed to find somebody that's like, that dude should have done exactly that in that same manner. But yeah, that's really all I got. I think I'm on the same page as everyone else. That's real fucked up. Like, clearly.
Well, there you have it, folks. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. Don't kill the elderly. Don't kill home people. Just kill fucking annoying assholes. That's all we're trying to say.
I guess that sounds reasonable. Oh, we'll go with that.
We'll see you again next week. And I'll leave you cats with a track from the album It's Alive 50th Anniversary Edition. This is Klaymore with their song Matriarch. And if you want to give me a little feedback, tell me how you like the guys, send me an email at wendychops1976@gmail.com. See you next week, cats. Peace and love.
Yeah. Audio Jungle.